All right, we are live.
Awesome. Punch it, Chewy. What's up, guys? Shawn Bowen, Full Circle Investment Group and wholesalingoutofthebox.com. Back at it again for another lunchtime live. Today, we're going to speak to what it's like to track your marketing, but really what it's like to funnel your marketing, right? So we're talking about campaigns and funnels, and what does it look like to get that information? Where does it come from? KPIs, key performance indicators. What are those specifically that you need to track in order to know what your numbers are? These are very important pieces in the marketing aspect of what you're going to be doing for wholesaling. So it's very important to go through these and understand them defined and be very defined in them, right? So let's talk about the difference between a funnel and a campaign. Make sure everything is working over here on my speaker side, and I can turn this off for a hot second. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between a funnel and a campaign. So a campaign is where you're getting your list from, okay? So I'll talk to the ones that we specifically play with are code violations, tax delinquent, probate, evictions. These are the list that are the campaigns. Now, the funnel sources. How are you taking those leads and funneling them through a process to get it down to the very simple, I'm ready to sell concept or lead, right? So those funnels should consist of text messaging, cold calling, and mail are the three that we use that we can speak to, okay? So having these pieces are very important to track individual ones like, okay, my campaign is getting a response rate, but what funnel is trafficking, giving me my most traffic, right? These are very important pieces to know so that you can ultimately get to the KPI, which stands for key performance indicator, that says what it takes to get to the deal, right? So this is really important to understand this to be able to start gathering these numbers. So when you're funneling these, where do they funnel to, right? So you need to have a CRM or you need to have a Excel sheet, something that allows this information to go into a system to where either you singular or you as a team can operate under, okay? So you have access to it, it's pulling the information, it's starting to track, you can pull numbers from it daily and weekly in order to build that KPI. Give an example of saying like one KPI. So roughly, let's go off of 1,600 texts, right, to a lead to do a deal that is $19,000 in profit, right? That's an example of a text message campaign. So the next one would be how many mail marketing pieces does it take to do a deal, right, from that campaign? And then the funnel was the letter source, okay? So the letter is what got us our attention to the funnel that got it down to I want to do a deal. That's 3,762, of which you will get 1 to 4 or 4 leads and make one offer, of which we will grow $16,000. Okay, so that's the letter source. So these are the types of things you're trying to generate in order to get through specifically and understand where you're going. Okay, so let's get into what specific on KPIs, right? So let's track my notes over here, guys. So letters to a closed deal, and then cold calls out to a closed deal, okay? And then text messages delivered to a closed deal, right? Now, remember, in delivered, that could be actually went through, got a response back that said, yes, I'm interested in selling, or qualified in those 2 to 3 different realms. Interested in selling, price point, and vacant, right? Ready to go. So these are very specifics that you want to know and track in order to funnel. Again, keeping track of these numbers and knowing where you're going so that you're not just slinging mud against the wall and hoping that it sticks, okay? And then the other part of this is, what is it, like, let's say you got a list that you're doing text messaging on, okay? And a list of roughly 25,000, and you've got 15,000 delivered texts, right? and then a response from that qualified those 3 qualifiers that said, yes, I'm interested in selling, that ultimately get through your funnel and say, here's a lead, right? So these are the specifics that we're trying to talk about that you want to track your numbers on, right? So understanding set numbers, right? And even for guys that are in the beginning, you haven't even closed a deal yet, right? You can still start generating a number that gets you closer to your mark, right? So if you think about it this way, let's say I'm going to focus on one specific thing. Let's just say you're cold calling. How many calls does it take out to people to get past all the no's, all the FU's, all the jump off a bridge, all the negatives before you get to the positive? And the positive says, yes, I want to sell. Guys, you're never going to have somebody answer the phone and be like, I've got a shit home and it's falling down, termites are holding hands, and I'll take 50% of the lowest number ever, right? That's just not going to happen. You've got to learn how to ask the correct questions in order to get the motivation of the person to say, yes, they need to sell, have to sell, not want to sell, okay? In order to get to the end result, which says you have a lead that you can help the seller actually close on and sell. Either you buy it yourself and or wholesale it, okay? So all of this goes back to knowing your numbers. How many calls did you have to get out, right? Connections. How many people said, I'm interested? How many people said yes? And then how many people finally got and said, I'm ready to sell? This is the funnel that we're talking about. So you're funneling through text messaging to get down to the ultimate, yes, I'm ready to sell lead, okay? This number will give you, if you do this on a daily tracking, you will now know where you're going. This is not, hoping I make, I don't know, let's just throw a number out, right? Like if I get 50 calls a day, I hope that I get 1 seller. Well, track what it looked like. Do a hash mark. Keep track on an Excel sheet on your screen or a piece of paper, something that says, I've got 20 calls today, and out of 20 calls, I had 3 people that were interested. Okay. So then tomorrow, bare minimum, you got to get through 20 calls to possibly get the same result of the 3 people that are interested, right? Maybe that number fluctuates, but if you start tracking it, you will see what that number is. So the goal here is I don't care what your source is. I don't care what your funnel source is. It's consistency behind the tracking of the numbers to know that that will allow you to get where you're trying to go, or start generating a number that says, if I don't get a bare minimum 100 calls out a day, right? And let's say I'm doing that in a 5-day window, that's 500 calls. I'm not going to get, let's just say 5 leads, right? 1 for 100. So now you have 5 leads that are possibly interested. If you do the same work the next week, you will start having the same result, right? Now you're going to start building up a follow-up pattern. Maybe they're not ready today, but you'll now start building this follow-up funnel that says, okay, I have to follow up with Chris on the 30th, and I've got to follow up with 3 other people the same day, right? Because you're generating a certain amount of calls, which getting through the ultimate no to the yes, right? This is where everybody loses the follow-up game. And if you remember, this is most important. Most of your competition is gone. I'm saying 80% of your competition is gone by the 5th to 6th touch. So think about what that is. That's a text message, that's a call, that's a voicemail, maybe an email, something that says, hey, we're still interested in buying. That is where the gold is. That is where the money is. The idea of you calling the day of and getting somebody that says, I'm ready to sell today, and you making it happen, not really that common, okay? So again, keeping track of your numbers, knowing what your daily calls are, to the amount of people that said no, to the amount of people that said yes, and the in-betweens, right? I'm interested. Everything's for sale. Give me a number, right? That's not really motivated, but you can dig a little deeper to see if it is. Getting past that to the yes, I'm interested in selling. Come look at my home. Now qualifying over the phone. So all of this is a trackable process in order for you to know that you're getting closer to your goal, which is, if you're brand new guys, then I'm getting close to a goal of I can actually do a deal. For existing guys that have been doing deals, now it's, how do I be consistent behind this game? How do I know I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 deals to close a month, right? By tracking these numbers, this will allow you to see that. Consistency behind tracking these numbers will be a game changer for you. Recommendation I say is read the book Traction, talking about tracking your numbers. This is something that will help you learn KPIs. Understand the difference between a campaign and a funnel. One of the big turning points for us is when we started having specific funnels off of a specific campaign to know its result and then decide if we were going to kill the campaign or not. So again, today's talk, guys, was really focusing on what the difference is between a funnel, right? And that's what is happening, or let's start backwards, go back to the campaign, which is the lead source, where you're getting it from, what kind of list it is, and then to the funnel it's going into in order to produce a result, right? So I'm pulling a list from tax delinquent and I'm sending it out via text, or I'm sending it out via text, cold caller, and let's say mail. So now I have 3 funnels from one lead source, right? And I can see where I'm getting my best result. Now you'll be able to track those numbers. And now you'll be able to see where you're getting your highest return from. This will give you some vision. This will give, like, you'll be able to clearly see in front of you, like, where I'm going and what my results are, so that you can decide to kill a campaign or keep it going. So understanding these numbers and understanding the difference between how you're tracking it to get to a specific KPI is very important. The other part of this I highly recommend is that if you're going to start going to scale with this, and by scale I just mean a lot of phone numbers. You got a lot of guys out here talking about cold calling. You got a lot of guys talking about, I don't know if the RVM thing's still big. I know there's some of you guys on here that do talk about, or Josh, I think you do it. Text messaging is big. Cold calling is big. Tracking that. And then having a CRM to stick it inside of. Very, very important. The Excel sheets work. If you're a small guy and brand new and starting, something to track your information that says you talk to this person, here's address, phone number, bed bath, square footage, repair numbers, something that says that you have this information stored that you can go back to it later and reference it, right? I was the guy that had the notebooks, guys, and I'm telling you, it is a loss of time, a massive loss of time. So really concentrate on any CRM, right? If you want one out of the box that's kind of set up and ready to go, check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. We've got a CRM set up over there that's kind of doing all that stuff ready to go for you versus trying to build it from scratch, okay? Otherwise, go online and try to find something that maybe is a monthly payment or something that allows you to put your information somewhere to track it. So important, okay? Guys, again, I want to thank you for being here today. Hopefully this worked for you, and you understand what the difference is between a campaign and a funnel, and tracking your KPIs and knowing what those numbers mean. Remember, those are your numbers, right? Don't match them to somebody else's. Some people might be better at talking than you. Somebody might be better on a marketing piece than you. Just keep in mind, these are your numbers. You want to learn them for yourself. So as always, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're interested on anything you need dealing with wholesaling, check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Later.